Lose Radio.
If we're talking about budget too, I think I think these movies cost just way too much money. The best part about them costing that much money is that when the credits roll, they're long. So at least I know that all these people are working. What conditions is the work and how much are they getting paid? I don't know. But I think that the amount of money in the film industry towards these very large projects is like gross. I don't believe they should cost as much as they seem to cost. It's a bit insane. I think once they start making a certain amount of money with certain movies that have a certain budget, then suddenly they just get used to it. And then you've just got, imagine where that money could go if we're talking realistically. How much did that Avatar cost? It's like, why the fuck are we making that?
Yeah.
Who's watching that anyway?
But that's kind of like, how do you fix that though? Because if all of these people are thinking, what is the safe thing? What is safe to invest in? How are you going to convince them to make this artsy film that you want to make this movie that's an original concept, to make something that's, like even like original comedy movies, you don't see a whole lot of those get funded anymore. Like some break through the mold, but there's not a whole lot of original comedy. And also like now you have the whole issue with streaming services owning everything. So it's not even the same thing where you're selling it to a movie company. You're actually selling it to a streaming service. So how do you convince them that your thing's worth buying? Like, I think a lot of... But I guess that's even after it's produced. Yeah, so that's like, it's more about funding it. A lot of it, though, is that. Like, it's how do you convince these people to fund it, right? Because, like, I think the problem is the scales are just tipped so far in one direction that it's like... It was already starting to happen in the 90s and the 2000s where it was like we're already starting to be less risky, but now it's like you only see prior franchises and like a great example that most people can understand is like the Marvel movies, because people kind of are burnt out on it now. And I think Marvel did that to themselves by going to these streaming services and doing all these shows and breaking their own kind of continuity rules they've created.
Everyone's exhausted
and everyone's kind of because now I have to. It's like you're doing homework to watch movies.
Fuck that. I hate homework anyway.
Yeah. It's like, wait a minute. I don't understand why John Stamos is Mr. Fantastic right now. Am I supposed to...
What's going on? They shot their own foot off with that.
But I mean, just point being that like the fact that everything became... Like, this is where all the money's going. All the money will only go... And even to the point where, if you look at the schedule for a movie theater, it was like... I remember this was like a couple posts I saw online because it was when the Avengers movies were coming out, I feel like. And it was like Avengers was playing 30 times at one theater and all these other movies are playing once or twice throughout the day.
Making that money.
Because you got to rake in that money, dude. And
cash.
Dude, it's just like, yeah, okay, that's cool. But at a certain point, like, this has got to be too much. And I think it happened. I think now... One thing I just heard, the Critical Drinker, he does a bunch of like movie critic reviews. If you ever seen him on YouTube,
I'm aware of him.
He just was on a podcast called Modern Wisdom, and it was just interesting because he was saying how he thinks that Hollywood's turning around, and he thinks what's happening is like what you see coming out now, it was conceptualized and they started making it 3 to 5 years ago. Everything you see now is from 3 to 5 years ago. And you can kind of pinpoint that just by the way that they, like the certain cultural landmarks they'll have in the movies.
Yeah.
And so he thinks that this is where they start to turn around and stop. And doing all of this Marvel stuff and doing all these superhero movies, and he said that he thinks there's going to be video game movies next, which also just fucking pisses me off.
Kill me, dude.
Minecraft, that's probably the big test. That's probably our next big feeler.
Dude, that's going to be even worse than the comic book stuff.
Been too long, I don't think I could face it. In the corner with my mask on. What's the story? It did do no good to